Oh, weird. Is Twitch saying I'm playing Baldur's Gate? No, we're good. We are good. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. I'm in the mood for some C++. I've been kind of dabbling with QML and Flutter with my mobile app and game. But now I feel like I'm in the mood. I just want to write some raw C++. Some good old fashioned, include some header files, maybe write a class. Templates, definitely templates. Concepts, standard expected. I haven't done standard expected yet. So that could be fun. C++. Or C++ 23, if I'm being honest. So let's get started. Well, actually, before we get started, progress has been made to my game Briarthorn. Briarthorn.game. Try it out. So this is kind of the layout that I've been working with, which originally I was doing to better support mobile, keeping it relatively clean. But as I'm starting to layer in more features, I don't know if I can keep it this simple. Maybe I can, and maybe I'll reassess later. But as a pilot, I need a little bit more information to know, like, who I'm shooting at, how I'm able to shoot, what my items in my inventory have, what's left, that kind of thing. It looks like I'm immediately being shot at, so that's cool. I did add just a little turn animation thingamajig here so that it's a little more obvious that you're turning. I mean, clearly you're turning, but it's the little things that matter. I like it. That's all that matters. Shut up. I don't even care. So that guy's inbound, so we're going to drop a flare. It's on my flare. I don't think I should be able to see that line if it's not in my radar volume, so I might have to fix that. I also added some minimal audio to this, but it's only for desktop right now. I haven't figured out how to get it to work for web. Oh. Boom, got him. Anyway, the update is you can come in here and on this HUD layout, switch it to tiled. And now you got this. So this is kind of what I'm playing with at the moment. I haven't looked to see what this would look like on mobile yet. So I'm not sold on this layout, but I am definitely going to place test it a little bit and see. I also think the center attack display here needs to take up a little bit more volume because you already have like a situation display right here of behind you. And then eventually, once there's more enemies in the playing field here, you'll get like a list of tracks that you can select. You can select the target, see how much health they have, maybe some other statusi that you can view based on maybe what your compute capabilities are for your aircraft. Things like that. But yeah. So I want to write, I think, a simple, I say simple, C++ serialization string library. Nothing crazy. There's plenty of libraries out there that already do a lot of this already, and I'm sure there's some that's already done what I have done or what I'm planning on doing or something similar. And on top of that, like JSON serialization libraries will probably do everything I'm going to do here and then some and be more robust. But this is an opportunity for me to explore using standard expected along with concepts to basically learn. It's not something I get to do every day professionally because you don't always have access to the latest compilers, and so you don't have access to C++23. So I kind of want to explore standard expected with these libraries and see what we can come up with. Now, the most important question I need to figure out: what is the name of this library? Do I put it in a single repo that anyone can follow along on my live streams? So kind of like how I did with Awin for building up my game, I wonder if I have another repo for viewers to be able to clone and reproduce anything I work on here. Especially if I ever turn this into a YouTube video, it at least makes it a little easier to link towards like an actual project so you can see the code. And it allows me to make it MIT so anyone can do what they want with it, kind of thing. So I think that's where I need to start. Is I need a repository. And I need a name for it. Do I just call it live streams? Do I make it boring? Fun and software streams? Do I do this? Or do I give it an actual name, like almost like a game engine? Do I make it a framework? These are hard-hitting questions that I don't know the answer to. I'm gonna change out the music though. Hang on. I need to test the audio for Twitch. I don't want it to be too loud. Test, this is me speaking.
Yes, this is me speaking.
I can probably bump it up a little bit. 20.7. Hey, Buffer. Hey, Buffer, perfect timing. Is the audio, is the music level at a good, nice listening level while I pitter patter away with my typing? Or does it need to be bumped up a notch? It's fine. Perfect. All right. So, back to what I was doing. I need a name for a repository for any of my C++ finagling while live streaming. Fun and software collections, utilities. I mean, if I'm making software, they would be utility software. The hardest part about this entire endeavor. I need a name. I guess I could call it streams for now until I come up with a better name. Because my other thought process, any work I do for a stream or like for a small project that I'm showing off on stream, I can keep it on a branch. I have another name. And then if I cut this up into a YouTube video, I can just link back to this repo and be like, hey, check it out. We'll do public. Let's init with a readme with a C++. Make it good old fashioned MIT. And a description. Collection of software projects I develop on stream. Where is the cat? That is a great question. Because I don't think I left him out in the garage. He might be sleeping. No, because I was eating dinner earlier and he was gnawing on my feet. So he's definitely around. He's indoors. So if I keep talking, he'll probably find his way here for sure. Oh man. First world problem. I got the Z Fold 8 and it's pretty cool. I like its height. Its width made it a little unwieldy. So through my through my phone provider, I got a cheaper deal on the Z Fold Ultra. So now I'm trying that out. But Samsung is being a jerk and is not letting me return the other phone, even though I've only like used it for a day, 2 at most. So I might have to just eBay that one. Call it a loss. I did. I got the shorter squat one. So one of the things that I like to do is jog, and that shorter squat one, like my hands aren't the biggest hands in the world, and so I'm like stretched out trying to hold it, and at least with this one I can comfortably hold it in one hand. So that's where it's at. I have a friend who loves the Z Flip, and it's like it gets better every year, right? So I'm almost certain I didn't watch any reviews for the Z Flip, but I'm assuming at this point you can pretty much use the front like flip part for most of everything you need. Hey Aravinda, God bless you as well. Yeah, exactly. I and this is what hurts my heart. I have always been a proponent for smaller phones, and anytime someone comes out with a smaller phone, a relatively good smaller phone, I will get it. So like the more recently, a few years ago, it was Asus. I forget what they were called, but Asus had like a small phone which was still like 5.8 or 9 inches. But I've always tried to go back to small phones. The problem is no one makes them, and the ones that do get made, they're not very good. Like they're really cheap, plasticky, tiny. Yeah. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and get this cloned, and we're gonna need to set this up with all my C++ cross-platform goodness. Can I just do it in here, actually? Perfect. Oh, I did show this off while some of you are away. Just real quick, added a now that my game is starting to have actual gameplay features and get a little bit more complicated, I am re-exploring the like tiled layout here so I can have more information available to you, such as like what kind of weaponry you have on board, the abilities you have to use, enlarge the situational display, have like a list of tracks that you can target and what the current selection status is, that kind of thing. Not yet. Eventually, for sure. Eventually, for sure. I'm not doing that. Is that a bug? I'm not. What is that? My. Oh, was it my controller? Huh, that was weird. I added a little turn animation to own ship. Hey, Hunter. Hey, Hick. How's it going? But this is still available in the other layout. You just click on here to swap it back to overlay, hit done. Like, this display, I think, is technically better for mobile because there's not as much going on. I can have a larger view, but I think for a more detailed situation and the ability to like add more features to this game, make it more complex, I would be able to make use of this type of layout a little better. We'll see. It's in there. It's live on the website right now. All right, so let's get this party started. Haven't seen me but since before 300. Oh my god, I'm not that old. All right, so brand new repo. We need to make this immediately cross-platform C++ 23. So I'm just gonna copy and paste my CMake project from GitHub, I think, as a good starting point. Because I don't want this stream to be about setting up the project again. I've done that enough at this point. So CMake platforms, I'm just going to, I have this locally, so I'm just going to copy and paste a lot of this into this folder. There. All right, so that gives me some cross-platform CMake configuration to support multiple compilers, multiple platforms. I can't complain, Nico. I appreciate you asking. I've been busy working on my C++. It's more turning into a QML game than C++. Working on my Magic the Gathering mobile app, and then I've gotten back into running. So I'm working on the if anyone's ever done any kind of running before, there's always like that couch to 5K program. I am about 3 weeks in, and I am almost up to 2 miles a run, I think. Mile and a half. Let's not round up too high. I'm about a mile and a half running 3 weeks in, a 12-week program. Okay, let's update the usual suspects. We'll call this streams. We'll start with today's date, August. Jeez, it's already August? Are you kidding me? Oh, man. I don't know if I'll ever be able to do a marathon. So even when I was playing soccer in high school and I was running every day, the most I ever did was like 6 miles. I don't know if it's how I run or what, but like my feet eventually go numb. I get like pins and needles. And we're talking like that was at like my peak shape, 18, 19, 20 years old. And even now, I would say I tried to get back into actually I ran my first 5K in my early 30s, and like 3-4 miles was the limit before those pins and needles came back. So I just don't know. I would love to at least do one marathon. We'll see. I definitely need to lose weight before I do that because I don't want to hurt my knees any more than they already are hurt. Okay, so for implementing a string conversion, like serialization library, I think I definitely want gtest for testing it, because I'll probably do a little bit of test-driven development in order to sketch out the API and figure out how I want it to work. We don't need graphics. We could potentially use the Celero micro benchmarking tool if we wanted to explore different serialization options, see what would be preferred. But I think for what I'm doing, Gtest is good enough. Why do I not use Visual Studio? I actually have a very good reason why I don't. And it's not because I don't like it. I love Visual Studio. I think Visual Studio is one of the best IDEs I have ever used. Having used, like, now I don't have a massive experience of multiple IDEs, but I've used like Xcode, Qt Creator. Back in the day, there was something called like, oh man, IntelliJ, or was that for Java? Oh my god, what was the there was one I used for Linux that was all right. It was like a I think it was like a KDE app. I don't remember what it was called. I have not tried CLion. I don't know if I've ever tried CLion. Oh, is it? Oh, maybe that's what it's called now. I don't. And there's also one that was called like Blood. This was like way back in school. Blood. I could just be making that up, man. I don't know why I'm thinking Blood. I'm trying to think. Oh, Eclipse on Linux. Eclipse, I'm pretty sure that was an IDE I've used before. But bar none, for me personally, Visual Studio all the way, especially when it comes to debugging. Bloodshed, yes. Bloodshed. Yes, I used to use that as well. But when it comes to productive debugging for me, the point and click UI developer that I am, or GUI developer that I am, like that bar none was better than anything I've ever used. But as to why I am not using Visual Studio now, because as someone who actively does cross-platform development, and the amount of like minute differences and esoteric configurations between platforms becomes a productivity disruptor. So I have gotten to the point where I pick a text editor like VS Code. It doesn't have to be VS Code. And then I use CMake and Ninja as my like cross-platform build solution. That way, no matter which platform I'm on, I am, for the most part, getting the exact same development experience, and then I don't have to stress about it. If I could, I wouldn't be opposed to like Visual Studio on everything, but Hey Soul, thanks for stopping by. I'm also doing a C++ project, except this one isn't anything in particular. This is more for just fun and exploration. I will be writing a string serialization library. This is something I've done in the past. I've done this multiple times actually, and I actually used to do this back in the day when you used enable if. Think every being you believe in that you do not have to do that anymore, because holy crap, times have changed. So I'm gonna try and use concepts instead to keep the code a little bit more clean and easier to, read. So I'm gonna try that. I've not done that before. Well, that's a lie. I've used concepts before. I have not used concepts to develop specifically this string API that I want to do, the string serialization API. So we'll see. Custom cybersecurity tool. Okay. You are in a much different domain of expertise than I am. I am I have worked with cybersecurity teams. I have had the pleasure of needing permission to use libraries and APIs from the cybersecurity team, but I've never really had to like do any cybersecurity development myself. So that's always it's kind of interesting what can be discovered when doing security development. So now the question becomes, if I have a repo for my live streams, I use a branch for the project itself. So I think I still build this entire repo out like an actual framework, I guess, which means I will eventually want to rename this to something a little more nice, I guess. Cool, suave, approachable. So let's do are all these covers? The singer is Ebony Day, I think. The 1975 Somebody Else, Girl Perspective. I don't know this song, but it has 5.5 million views. Also, it wouldn't surprise me if it's a cover because I tend to listen to a lot of covers. I'm a big fan of YouTube, like YouTubers who have made their way up the ranks via covers. I always like hearing other people's perspectives on songs. It's also a way for me to discover songs by bands I've never heard of before. Right. So I need to get this compiling. So we need a source folder. Do I do modules for this repo? Are people interested in modules? The downside of the modules is there's going to be a little bit more banging my head against the wall, getting some weird stuff to work that you would expect to work. IntelliSense won't be as good with modules. I won't be able to right click and go to definition as easily. It just requires more setup. Yep. I used, for the longest time, I used CMake and MSVC for the longest time. It wasn't until I started doing dev containers that I swapped to Ninja, mainly because as part of my job, I was responsible for managing repos. And when you have like 5, 10, 15, 20 developers all working out of the same repo, you inevitably end up with many developers setting up their dev environment differently, which inevitably ends up with patches that fix their implementation on their machine and something that fixes somebody else's implementation on someone else's machine, and then nothing is working in the pipelines. And it got to a point where I was like, hey, we got to stop. Everyone needs the exact same dev environment stood up. So we're all using containers. You all get everything you need in that container. You'll use Ninja. That way, whether you're on Linux, Windows, or Mac, you get the exact same project configuration for cross-platform development. So ever since then, I pretty much just stuck to it because I got familiar with it. We could try modules. I could definitely do modules. I've done it before. It's a pain, but it can be done. And maybe it's gotten better. I've been waiting for Clang 24, I think, because I'm hoping, I don't know if this is true, but I'm hoping Clang D, which is the C++ LSP, I'm hoping that gets better with modules. We'll see. But that's really been the limitation. Okay, so if I do modules, I need to, hopefully I still have an example on my computer. Otherwise, I'll have to do this all from scratch, and I don't know if I remember everything off the top of my head. Um, nope, that's headers. Oh, you might be right, Buffer. Was it Awin that I was doing that in? I think you're right. Ooh, but did I delete the branches? Oh, this is gonna be awkward. This is gonna be awkward. This is why this is why you never delete your branches. Oh. I mean, it'll still be in the commit history at least, but I'd have to like trace it. I think I have something locally. Oh, I bet I still have the local branches. I love this song. Anyone here ever see the OC? The first time I heard this song was that version, which was by someone. Anyway, love that song. Only later did I realize it was by Kate Bush. I have so many local branches for Alwyn. Ooh, I bet I was doing it with Flex. Yep, got it. Oh yeah, sorry. I don't have music playing on YouTube. Um because I am a terrible streamer who does not know what they are doing. I have attempted on a couple of occasions played music for YouTube, but I can't do anything that's DMCA for one. So basically, no popular songs. Uh, and then even when I try and play DMCA free music, that's still like good music. YouTube flags me and says, "Hey, there's a potential issue here, or you might run into like monetization issues." And I don't want to risk getting a strike before I've even started my live streaming career. So I don't know what to do. Join the dark side and use web UI desktop application? What do you mean by that? Are you do you mean like doing development in the cloud? Oh yeah, I Soul, I just saw your note on taking notes because you don't remember. That's there's another advantage of me like doing these little projects and repos is all my time and effort outside of work or school or whatever you're doing. Save it. Save all of it. Most of it might not be any good, but every once in a while you might have a eureka moment and you're like, man, I really like the code I wrote there. And then either for school or for work, you're like, oh man, I've solved this before. I know how to do this. I've done this. I put in the effort. Where is that work? Oh wait, I saved it in my repo. Oh, I see what you're saying, Michael. Yeah, I I will admit if it wasn't for streaming, I think for any UI personal projects, I'm probably not using C++ anymore. I might be a Flutterhead. It's just so convenient and easy to get a cross platform. And by cross platform, I mean like just about everything embedded, web, Windows, Mac, Linux, uh, Raspberry Pi, Android, iOS, WebOS, for like your TVs, all in a single repo. It's so nice. Like for those who have actually like been to some of my streams where I'm actually configuring C++ for cross-platform, it's a lot of effort. It's a lot of effort to keep it maintained and keep it working. Uh, and there's just something to be said about a framework or a language that just gives you all of it out of the box, where you can just focus on building your app and not managing the repo and making sure everything compiles correctly. But I do C++ because that's what I'm familiar with and that's what I can talk to. It does feel wrong. I agree. It feels so wrong. Especially if you've put a lot of time and effort into something and it's like, I really don't want to give that up. I have so much knowledge and experience. But it's because of that that I'm like, ooh, it's so much easier to do this a different way. All right, root CMake. So we are on C++ 23. I think... Don't need an app folder. I need a source. Yeah, I discovered Flutter, I think, 2 years ago. Because I was making that Magic the Gathering mobile app, and I started with C++ and QML, Qt Quick, which is what I'm using for my Briarthorn game. And at the time, 2 years ago, it's gotten a lot better, but at the time, I think I was 6 months into the project just trying to make sure the code would run on all the platforms. And so I was like, wait a minute, what am I doing? So I did some searching. Is there already a framework out there that runs on everything? And that led me down the React route, Node.js, React, looking at all that. And I'm like, dude, I'm a C++ developer. I don't want to build an application using like some kind of abomination of HTML and JavaScript. I would have to spend so much more time learning a brand new language and a new framework and blah blah blah. I'm already used to Qt Quick and declarative style programming. So basically it was like, is there anything that's similar to Qt Quick that also compiles to like native? And it turns out there is. Flutter. Flutter uses declarative programming to build applications on all these platforms. And it just so happens at the time that I looked, they just started introducing Flutter running on desktop machines, so like Windows, Linux, Mac, because I guess it was originally mainly for mobile. And so it just happened. Oh no. I can't do it. I'm too old. I'm not, when I was younger, I'm like, man, I don't understand why these older developers take such an issue with like learning newer language standards and using the right tool for the job. And then as you get older, it's like, man, I've put in my time. I've done all of this. I don't want to have to learn a whole other thing. I know how much time and effort it takes to master. And I'm too lazy. I just want it to work. Source. All right, so if we're doing modules, I don't need to handle header files, so I don't need an include folder. I just need the source folder, and inside the source folder will be my libraries. So this will be, I guess, strings for now, because I'm uncreative or unimaginative. Trying to think. We'll do two strings, from strings, maybe not plural. I don't want to do string. I've been bitten too many times by that. But that being said, this is modules, so it's not going to be the same thing as including string.h. Source string. Make sure we include our CMake lists at every level. Make sure you spell it right. So for me, a couple things. When I first started learning about modules, I just Googled it. I literally was just like, hey, what are the file extensions for using modules? And when I first did this a couple years ago, I think .ixx came up first. Let's see, CPP modules extension. What is the file extension naming convention for modules? And so this person has seen IXX, CXX, CPP, CPPM. So I think CPPM is the other one. And it basically boils down to .ixx is, I guess, Microsoft's extension for it. And then CPPM might be Klang's, something like that. And so I was like, well, IXX is one letter less, so I at least get to keep the 3-letter extension versus a 4-letter extension. That's all. I definitely want it to be different than CPP because I want to be able to easily tell the difference between a module file and a actual like C++ implementation file. Yes, I absolutely do multiple CMake lists. It becomes easier to maintain if you did like one CMake list file, at least from my perspective, you run the risk of, I guess, tampering with any other code deep inside your project. Now, for like a single app or a single library, a single CMake list is fine. But as your project gets bigger and bigger, that's when I would consider splitting up into different CMake lists. Yes, this is Trader. You know your music buffer. String is such a terrible name. I like the singer. Linnea M. Source string. Okay, so this is where the actual magic is going to happen. So this is going to be called stream string. Stream is a bad name too, because stream actually means something in C++. I'm off to a bad start, guys. Do as I say, not as I do. All right, here's an example module setup I've done with my previous project. So I need something like this here. This will be from string to string. We're not linking against anything. And we are going to have tests. Ooh, funnin' strings. Yeah, I actually thought about like funnin', but I need like the company is Funnin' Software, so this needs to be like the utility repo of code that's like usable, actually usable code for other projects. Python F strings. I don't know if I know what that is, other than, yeah, I don't know if I know what that is. And then here's the CMake script for a test folder. Formatted strings. Okay. Okay. I know I'm going to need some special VS Code configuration settings to basically tell the language server that I'm using modules. Is it this? Yeah, it's this. So I like auto formatting on save is true, CMake configuration on open is false, use clang D, specify the compile commands directory. So we'll want to make sure we have the compile command CMake flag specified, which we should. CMake export compile commands is true, so that's good. All that looks good. And then this is yelling at me because I haven't written any code. That makes sense. So I think let's get a module written real quick. So module, I mean, we're using strings, right? So string export module stream.string. I don't know anything about these partitions. I know this is like a partition, but I've never used it before. So I don't know if that's like how you should do it. Oh, you know what? I bet I could do a string.ixx qrst. And then this will just be export module stream.string. And then this will be export import stream.string.from and to. Something like that. We'll figure it out. Export namespace. Yeah, this isn't gonna work. We need a better naming convention. We're also going to be using expected for this project, which I've not really used too much. So we might end up with like a function that looks something like from string. So we are going from a string to something else. So this would look like no discard, auto, from string. Oh, well, there's your autocomplete for you. Something like that. We'll adjust once we actually start writing some actual code here. ToString. Probably do the same thing. Slight volume boost. How's that? That was about a 2 decibel increase. Okay, so I got some placeholder code here. What do we think? We're gonna first try this? I'm guessing not. Oh, I need VC package as a module. I also need to figure out where this 10,000 pending changes is coming from. Why does it see EMSDK? Oh, did I clone this in the wrong location? No. Oh, it sees Awin for some reason. What? Is this a VS Code thing? Because I opened it in a terminal. Hang on. Can I like refresh this view? No? Refresh. All right, I'm gonna reload the window, I guess. That's weird. There we go. Suspicious. I also have my Clang format in here. I could probably do Clang tidy as well at some point, just to make sure I'm still adhering to some proper coding conventions. Oh, there's a reason I love VC package so much. Because before VC package or Conan, now I think Conan's been around longer. But before these, you had to manually clone all of these like third-party libraries, manually compile them, manually configure and link them against other third-party libraries, manually fix or patch any of these third-party libraries to get them to work with your project. And a lot of the times, the senior devs wanted nothing to do with that. So you know what they did? They pawned it off to the junior developer, this guy. So I was the guy responsible for maintaining the dependencies of our project at the company. Now this was years ago. And what a nightmare. The benefit is I got really good at reading code and fixing project misconfigurations and things like that. Make files, CMake. What else was there back then? There was something else. I don't remember, but I had to do that, all of that manually, and that was a pain. So ever since VC package came out, I have never looked back, and I never will. I only look forward. All right, I think we're ready to first try this and see where everything's gone wrong. So we'll do this in debug and see what happens. Oh wait, I never cloned VC package. Whoops. How does this work? Git submodule add HT. Yes. Something like that. Yeah, I think that did it. All right, let's try that again. There we go. Now VC package is running. You saw how fast my internet was? Wait, did it show that really? When I was cloning? That's hilarious. I have gigabit. I have it's crazy. I don't know if I can show you guys from here. No, I won't be able to. Um I have gigabit and my router is like on the opposite side of the house, so I have a like 100-foot cable going from the router all the way to this room because I haven't gotten it installed in the attic or anything like that yet, and I didn't want to do Wi-Fi. So, yep, I'm on fiber. I got the cheaper option in my area. I have gigabit, like 1 gigabit up, 1 gigabit down. But I think it goes up to like 5 up and down, but I haven't needed it for anything. I grew up on dial-up internet, so I've like lived through all the different speeds of internet over the years. This is yelling at me about Android, and I don't know if I care about Android right now. No, that's not what it's yelling at me about. It's yelling at me about G-Test Discover Test because I didn't include the G-Test CMake files. Let's try that again. There we go. Oh my god. All right, it configured first try ish. Does it build first try ish? Oh, I'm so good at this. Oh, it's like I've done this before. All right, so that compiled. Let's see if we can link our library to the test executable. Oh, we already are. Whoops. Okay, maybe I'm better at this than I remember. Let's see if we can call the code itself and make sure it pulls in the module. So we need to, I'm pretty sure you have to do header includes first. So we'll do that. Then we will do import streams.string test from string. Sure, let's autocomplete that. Well, none of that's gonna pass. This isn't even the code I wrote. Ugh. Let's see, from string. I think we just want to do like expect equal. Something like that. Just placeholder stuff. And then we will also do toString. Yeah. We'll see if that compiles. Oh, I didn't first try this one. Okay. This is more like what I was expecting. Hey, how's it going, Penny? Hey, no problem. I appreciate you coming by when you can, though. Am I doing this wrong? Stream string, we link against. Export stream string. Export string to string from string. Let's try that. See if that does anything. Hey Rag, I appreciate the follow, man. Could not find the module streams.string.toString. My current suspicion is I am doing something wrong. And I might have to turn on a CMake flag. Though I didn't think I needed to anymore. But I could be wrong. Don't mind me, I'm just looking at some old examples I did, trying to figure out where it all is going wrong. Because there used to be a thing, used to be a CMake flag you have to turn on, but I don't know if I need that anymore. I don't think I'm doing anything wrong here. Well, obviously I'm doing something wrong. Unable to handle compilation, expected exactly one compiler job. From string to string, we made it public. Oh wait, did I? Oh, I exported. Static. Private. That should be fine. Everything looks good. Do what we all do. Just try and rebuild it and see if anything changes, even though you know it won't. Ooh, add subdirectory. Nope, we got it. And it's also being added after the fact, which I think is necessary. Necessary. Streams is not a class or namespace. Am I just getting this wrong? Import. Have I forgotten how to import a module? Like here's what, yeah, it's like import. So you do import, you do it after the header files. That's so weird. VS Code's weird. I dragged a file from another repo into VS Code just to look at its content, and it immediately added that project to the source control extension here. Holy crap. Let's reload the window. I'm also doing the export. Export module stream.string. Ooh. Guys, come on. This is why you do rubber duck debugging. You explain it to someone exactly how you intend it to, and then you realize what you did wrong. There we go. Yeah, so now I shouldn't have to do this. Though if I want to be concise, since I'm just doing testing, I'm honestly not opposed to doing it this way. That way we're only pulling in what we need. like the public API, if someone were to use this, they just import .string. Call it a day. All right, we've got a good starting point. This will compile for Windows. Let's get it up and running for Linux real quick. I am a cross-platform C++ developer at heart, so I can't not do it, you know? So we're gonna drop my dev container in here. I gotta come up with better naming convention. This is hurting my heart. CMake tools. We don't need the live server. We are going to need Clang D. Add to dev containers. We also don't need raylib dependencies. Clang 22 is probably fine. Are we up to 23 yet? 23 should be out. What version of Ubuntu are we on? Let's update this. Isn't it like 2604 or something? What? I don't want Pro. Do they not tell you what version they're on anymore? Huh. Well, wait a minute. We can figure this out. It's like 04 and 10, right? Yeah, so it's got to be 04. So let's try that. 2604. And let's see if 23 works. Okay. Emscripten, I don't need web. I don't need Android. Don't need Android. Don't need Android. Still don't need Android. You need so much stuff in order to support compiling on Android. Still don't need Android. Don't need Android. Surprisingly, don't need Android. And I'm just not feeling Android right now. Don't need web. Don't need Android. Not using raylib. And also don't need Android. Just need the compilers. Clang 23, GCC, your standard dependencies for VC package. I think that's everything. So let's hop over to Linux. I don't know how many doom scrollers are out there right now, but there's a cosplayer named King Chris who makes some of the most hilarious shorts ever, and he uses this background song, and I never knew what that song was until right now. As the World Caves In by Sarah Cawthron. No, we're my YouTube people. We are listening to music over on Twitch. I apologize. I haven't found. Honestly, if I was a good live streamer, I would collect a playlist of safe to use music and use that. So maybe I should spend some time compiling a playlist of like YouTube friendly music where I won't get like demonetized into oblivion. But yes, we are a little cozy here on the Twitch universe side of things. Okay, we are in Linux, so let's verify modules are working there. Let's do Linux GCC debug. I wonder where Trill is. He must be passed out somewhere. I'm surprised he hasn't come in yet. Why did the Keyblade choose me? What is the Keyblade? Kingdom Hearts. Oh. Just getting our GTEST installed. That is a great question. I have only used Incredibuild before, and I only used Incredibuild like 10 years ago. So it's a little tough for me to recommend anything these days. Just because hardware has gotten so much better over the years. I started out working on a second gen i5 laptop with 4 gigs of RAM, and it would take easily 2.5 hours of compilation to build our framework. And it was such a problem that I would literally get chewed out if I modified a header file while doing development without like requesting permission first, because I was an intern working 12 hours a week, and so a third of my time would have been just compiling, and they didn't want me wasting time like that. Don't really have to worry about that these days. Not as much anyway. Sweet, everything compiles. That's good. I guess I can make sure tests work. And tests pass. We're good. All right, let's hop back to Windows. Reopen locally. And I think this is a good commit point. I will come up with a better name for all of this. This is killing me. All right. I guess I'll just initial commit it, right? Initial commit. VC package, all that's good. Commit. All right, I think it's about time to write some code. I do think it is about that time. So, one of the things I've had to do over the years is not only parse strings, but write strings. And a lot of times it's for like logging purposes, or just doing some print debugging or writing some state out, that kind of thing. Now, these days, you can just go grab a library and be done with it. But I'm curious. I've not used concepts and standard expected in this context because I don't have access to C++ 23 compliant compilers on the job. So this is a good opportunity to try some things out, see if I like it, see if I can figure some things out. And so I think from a TDD, test-driven development perspective of sketching out an API of what I might want to support, this from string already tests one. If you're given a string, you should still return a string. But we also want to handle all the different primitive types. Char might get a little tricky because it's really just an integer, but we want to treat it like a string. And there's also might be a difference between how we treat a char and how we treat, say, standard int 8t, which is also a char. One, we might want to actually treat as an integer, whereas the char we want to treat as a letter. So we're going to probably need some compile time specialization to handle that. So this helps me kind of figure out different edge cases. Now, null pointer. Would I ever? Sure, why not? Because I think null pointer has its own type as well that we can check for. So what do we got? We got double, we need float. Integer, standard int 8. Let's see, let's move the integers together. Might do an unsigned int. Might do a long. Don't forget a unsigned long. Oh my god, there's so many. We'll do a long. I think this API is wrong. We are converting from a string to a type. So this would actually be like standard string. Whereas this would be an int. So this is wrong. Hmm. And then the issue is, what if there's an error during the conversion? What if you're trying to convert like a char and someone passes in Batman? How do you convert Batman to a single letter? So we need error handling. And that's where standard expected is going to come in. So we are going to need... Do I want enumerated error codes versus just a string message? And if so, where would I put those? Probably do like error code.ixx. No, I'm not doing exceptions for this one. I'm typically not a huge fan of exceptions um, for a couple of reasons. One, I've never worked in a code base that I think has used exceptions correctly or well. And so I don't really have a lot of experience using exceptions well. I typically see exceptions being used as just basic error handling, which isn't what their intent ever was for. It was for exceptional cases. The other issue for me is when there are exceptions and you're in a big code base and you have try catches everywhere, the try catches have a tendency to catch the errors. And when that happens, I don't get a debug breakpoint because the error was caught. And so the code keeps running. And I found, at least in the code bases I worked in, I found myself over and over needing to comment out the try catch blocks in order to get a breakpoint to actually pop so that I can see what is actually causing the error. So I just shy away from exceptions. I'm sure there's some good examples out there of them being used really well. For this little library I'm doing, I want to use standard expected, which came out in C++ 23, and see if I like it. So I'm going to define some error codes that we might have when parsing strings or converting to strings. Looks like we got auto-generated a none, invalid argument. That makes sense. Out of range. I don't know about these. We will adjust these as we come across actual errors that we need to deal with. But I put this in a separate module so that I can pull them into both of these, because now I can do import stream.string.error code. And then we can use that here. So, is there an error that occurs if we are converting from a string to a string? I guess technically you would have an exception, right? Because you're potentially allocating something on the heap, so you could potentially have an exception here. So this would be where I would use try catch, and if there is an exception, we would do standard expected. Ooh, what is this? Is this a real thing? What is this trying to do? I have never seen code like this. Does that compile? Doesn't like something. Oh, I have a bunch of code that won't compile. That's right. Which is the nature of test-driven development. You write some tests that cause your code to fail, and then you fix it. Okay, so now we are not handling standard expected, and we need to. So, without seeing this before, I am assuming this is going to allocate the string within the expected object instead of allocating and copying it in. Yeah, so standard expected is C++ 23's newer answer to error handling. So instead of doing like a basic Boolean for true or false if a function successfully processed, or using exceptions, which should be for exceptional cases, not your standard errors. So my current understanding is we can make use of what is effectively a result type. I think Rust has something like this. I know other modern languages do stuff like this as well, where you can like if your function is successful, you return the result. If it's unsuccessful, you return a failure code or a message or something like that. So this type enforces the user of your API to deal with that. They don't immediately get access to the result without checking the error code, basically. Oh yeah. Penny's got it. There's definitely benefits to exceptions, especially like constructors, for instance, right? Because constructors don't have any way to return a code unless you manually build it into your entire framework or API that you're building. Um, and so a lot of the times you'll find that developers will throw exceptions in constructors if something is failing to initialize. A lot of the STL data structures throw exceptions if you are allocating or adding something to the container and it causes heap allocations to occur under the hood. Well, there's no return code for that. There's just an exception that you need to handle, such as like you're out of memory or you indexed out of range or something like that. I've just not worked on any big projects that I have considered used exceptions that well. They basically use it as error codes themselves, which is a pain in the ass because it gets everywhere. But I've not seen this before. Standard in place. I'm assuming that's just allocating in place. Bing. Program is ill-formed if it instantiates an expected with a reference type, a function type, or a specialization of unexpected. In addition, T must not be in-place type or unexpected type. That's not what I was looking for. So this is kind of what it looks like in use. So that would be my error code. Oh, this is hilarious. This is hilarious. Its example is string parsing. Well, I'm not original. So I don't know if there's an error here other than like try otherwise return unexpected. And even here, we could probably we would have to handle, yeah, invalid argument, out of range, unknown error. And there's also, there is a real world cost to exceptions. And so you'll see a lot of projects, they might turn exceptions off entirely because it's under the hood, it's just more code getting added to handle those exceptions because it does things like stack unwinding and making sure like anything that got allocated gets deallocated via RAII. And so some people don't want to pay for that because they're not using exceptions. So here, if we're given a view into a string and we allocate a copy of that string, there could technically be exceptions that get thrown from this allocation. So we handle those exceptions and turn them into error codes. Otherwise, it succeeds and returns. You know what I don't know? Because this is going to allocate the string anyway. I think I want runtime error, logic error, out of range, invalid argument, bad alloc. Standard accept. Cannot convert from string. Oh, that makes sense. Yep. There is no implicit conversion. That makes sense. And that's a good thing because now you are forcing the developer to acknowledge that they did, in fact, intend to allocate a string here. So that makes sense. Okay, so that built. If we run tests, we should still be passing. We are still passing. That's good. Okay, so the other part of this is concepts. I want to use concepts to create a templatized function and have it automatically basically pick which function to use based on the concept that is defined. So we are talking like, man, back in the day, what you would have had to have done, and it's been a long time, so I might not remember how to do this, but you would do something like type name t comma standard enable if, and then you would basically use the template metaprogramming to do a bunch of enable if statements in order to allow this one function to parse a specific type. But now we don't need all that. We should be able to do concepts. So I'm thinking I define a template for this function, and we can probably do like I think we do like a forward declaration and then we define explicit types to be handled. So we might do templates. New keyword. Type name T. Oh, what? No discard. Auto. Do I need no discard here? I really don't know. Hopefully not. Keep it clean. From string. We expect a string to be returned. Otherwise, an error code. And then we do concepts. And the concepts I might define in a new file here. Concepts.xx. So here we module include concepts. Export. Export. Namespace string. Okay. Now by default, we do get some concepts for, like, I think integral types, mathematical types, maybe floating types. I guess we could look this up because I don't remember. Is there like a list of all of the different concepts? Maybe that's what I need to look for. Okay, so yeah, there is or this is how they're making one. Is integral, is a signed integral. Ooh, might need that. I'm not sure. Same as, derived from, convertible to, common with, swappable, equally comparable, totally ordered. Here we go. Standard integral, signed integral, unsigned integral, floating point. Object concepts. Destructible, constructible, movable, copyable, semi-regular. Model types that have behaved like standard objects. Huh. Not seen that before. Callable concepts. Yep. Iterator. Okay. So it looks like I'm not going to get anything for, like, is a container, for instance. Same as we're probably going to make a lot of use of to handle all the different types. So let's do let's keep it simple to start with. We know we're going to do integers, chars, floats, doubles. So template, type name, T, concept. And just to keep my API somewhat consistent, even if the STL gives us some of these things, we'll do like int type. Wait, is integral? So the AI is recommending not the same as a Boolean. So integral might be getting treated as, or a Boolean might get treated as an integral as well. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. Template type name concept unsigned int. We might not need unsigned. Float type. So let's keep it simple and just start with, well, let's do Boolean as well. Template, type name, T, bool type. Okay. So with that, we should be able to do, ooh, we might need string type as well. We're converting from a string, so this needs to be T. Yeah, we need a string type. So if it's a string or a string view or a C array, because then we can do, oh, I gotta, hang on. Did I add it? I added it. We need to import it. Something like that. So now this concept will basically enable this function to be used if we pass in a string type as a template parameter. So in our test where we wrote this, right here. So we might do like standard string. Okay, so the concept sees that this exists and it should compile first try. First try? First try. Oh god. Oh, that's okay. I just forgot a header. That doesn't count. First try dot two. There we go. First try dot two. And if we didn't specify a type here, I think I would expect a compile error. And that is what we get. Const object must be initialized, so result failed to initialize. From string, no matching overloaded function found. Could be a basic string. Could be a char. Nope, that's a basic. Oh, could be a view. So it doesn't know. So we have to be explicit. So in theory then, because we have the concept to support it, I should also be able to do a C string, which would convert, ooh, what is, yeah. So, yeah, so it would just translate this string view, this own const char, into a const char. So it shouldn't really do anything. If we look at our from string implementation though, I think we are actively allocating a standard string, and we probably don't want to do that. Yeah, right here. What we really want to do is something like this. Or maybe even, we could do static cast, but then we might also need to make sure it's convertible. And the other question we have to ask is what happens if we accidentally maybe pass in a standard string reference? Does that compile? I hope not. If it does, we need to account for it. T must not be a reference type. Perfect. That's what we want. And if we did a const reference type, T must not be a reference. All right. And then if we do a const standard string, does it know it's a string type? It doesn't. It can't find a function definition for that specific type, which is why we get unresolved externals. So what we could do here is if, like, and this is all based on what you want to allow for your code, but if we were okay with someone passing in a const, then I think we need to make sure our concepts can support that. And the way you can do that is standard. I know there's a remove const, remove CV, const ref. I think decay will help us with this as well. Question mark. So standard decay does decay. Let's see what decay does. Decay will remove the reference. Does it remove const? Remove const. I think decay works here. I could be wrong. I'm learning as well. So let's verify. Where's our test? And decay works. Perfect. So now we support const types for our string as well. Can I do a const string view? I assume not, because our concept didn't handle it and it failed. Same issue. We are accessing a function with a const that doesn't exist, so it failed to link against it, hence the unresolved external symbol. So now we go back to our concepts and we can do the same thing again, if we so choose for that to be a part of our API. I almost wonder if there's a cleaner way to write this. Oh, this is awkward. I don't think we decay const char. Now we get into dangerous territory. What I would consider bug prone. If we allowed an API such as just char star, which means someone can go and modify, then you're getting risky. You're giving access to the ability to, like, you didn't track where the state of, or the data of the string lives in memory, and then you're offering the ability to modify it. Whereas with a string, it got copied and allocated in. I guess there's arguments to be made about the string view as well, but it has its own mechanisms of safety, I think. Here, I don't think I would want anyone to be able to do this. So we force them to do essentially a view into this data. Except that didn't compile. So what did we do wrong? And by we, I mean me. Cannot convert from a string view to a T. Why does it think this is a string view? What if I did static cast? Yeah, that's not going to work either. Oh, it's trying to convert. Oh, I see. I see. There's no conversion for this string view type to a char star other than to do string.data. Ugh. Does that work for... That could work for the standard string as well. I don't know why I keep redoing this. I could literally just write a bunch of tests. Let's do that. So we got string view, star. Ooh, we got some actual failures. From string.test, line 20. Expected equality of these values, but the problem is, ooh, this is, okay, so this is an interview question. This would be a good, like, I don't know, someone fresh out of school, maybe a year of experience, to be like, hey, there's a problem with this line right here. Why is this test failing? Const char star hello compared to the string hello. Why is that failing? Because both of these are pointers. So you're only comparing the address of the array, the string array, to each other. So when we look at this test, we see those strings are located at different addresses. That's why in C, you probably have a function to do this for you, like string compare. In C++, if you don't want to allocate into a standard string, then we should be able to make use of something like string view that provides an operator overload for C string comparison. So let's see if that works. So I might do like string view and then do the comparison. That compiles. Let's run the test. And our tests are passing. So this is one of those, I don't see this issue pop up all that often, other than like if you're new to C++, it's just not something that's super obvious. You're like, oh yeah, I just want to compare a string with a string. Well, it turns out, no, you're comparing an address to an address. Okay. So we've handled a relatively simple case, which is string to string conversion for our serialization. And I'm not too stressed about performance or anything like that. At least not to start with. This is more figuring out the API and getting the stuff figured, like written down. So we handle strings, so let's handle a int type. Except for integers, I think I want to use char convert because I read somewhere that it is super performant and uses awesome mathematical algorithms under the hood. So this does a from chars. So we start with our integer type here. And then it's going to take the data that's passed in and run from chars onto it and filling our data with value. If there was no error, return it. Otherwise, if there's errors, we can return unexpected. We do like the mathematical things. Again, we have this situation where our int type is probably not handling the case of like passing in a reference type, which you don't want to do, or a const type, which we might be okay with supporting. So I might go try that. The downside with modules right now, I right click on this int type concept to go to definition, and it didn't go anywhere. So that's just kind of, those are some of the little things that you run into with using newer features like this that aren't fully supported. So we need to go to concepts, int type. It's an integral, same as, not the same as. And we can decay this. Standard decay. Still want to make sure a reference type won't work, which I don't think it will. I don't think standard expected will allow it. We'll go ahead and update the rest of these. Actually, I wonder if integral already does that. It already does it. It already removes the reference type. So these concepts have already been defined, so I don't need to do this. Which is kind of nice. Still no trail. I might go check on them. Actually, this is a good pausing point. All right, this is a test. If I run an ad now, how do I do it? I can manage a poll. I can manage a prediction. You already got 3? Well, maybe they've already ran. Because I think I've set it to 3 an hour, I think. I don't know. Whatever the lowest is, that also prevents you getting ads when you first join the channel. Yeah, I don't see the button. All right, I'm going to go grab a drink, check on my cat, and I'll be right back. Hope you're happy. I woke him up from his nap. He may visit us now. Okay, so the concept types handle the decaying for us, but here we would want to do it. All right, so now we have this integer type using from chars to convert from a string to an integer. This looks fine. Return the value, otherwise unexpected. And we should get yelled at if there is any case that could pass through all this. Oh, you know what? Something we haven't done at all that we probably need to do is make this a const expr friendly API if we can. I don't know if we can, but I do like to try if at all possible. So, well, let me make sure this test passes first, and then we'll do the const expr, hopefully, and then we'll probably call it there for this evening. From string. So we need integer types. Let's make sure that builds. Everything is passing. That's good. So let's see if we get some other integer types going here and see how it behaves. Let's do unsigned int. Make sure that's good. There is no unsigned int. So I'm assuming that means unsigned types are not considered integral. Huh. No, wait a minute. Yeah, it is. It's right there. Unsigned int. All of these is integral, is any of, if this type with the constant reference removed is any of bool char, signed char, unsigned char, w char, char 8, char 16, 32, short, int, unsigned int, long, etc. It should be integral. So, what did I screw up? That is the question. Oh, you can't have spaces in a gtest macro function. Is that the issue? The following warning is treated as an error. Unsigned sign mismatch. Oh, that's fair. Where is it? Right here. Don't forget your U's for your unsigned comparisons. There we go. All right, now we're clicking. Sweet. So anything, all those listed types, we now automatically support from that is integral. Pretty straightforward. Which means I should be able to uncomment all of this. Ooh. For this to be a good test, we should make sure result dot actually what can you compare an expected against? A bool? Has value. Checks whether the object contains an expected value. Perfect. Okay. So we do an assert true has value. Why? Because we want to only call dot value if it's valid. If it's not, we need to assert here, escape out of the test here. Oh, interesting. That's a good test as well. It's handling some negative testing for me, the autocomplete, which I'm okay with. I do need to get rid of spaces. Unsigned int expected equality of these values, but they weren't. We got an out of range error. When using -1 for an unsigned int. So that's good. That's what we want. What's the issue? Expected equality. Oh, the error itself. So we need to figure out what this error actually is supposed to be. Debug, launch, string test, debug. Okay. Now we can, nope, that's not what I wanted. Restart. Step into, step out, step into, step over, boom. Invalid argument is the error. Invalid argument. There we go. Okay, let's try it again. Same with long. No. Unsigned long. Same issue. Invalid argument, which makes sense. You're trying to convert a string from, or you're trying to convert a string to a unsigned long with a negative in it, which you can't do. That's invalid. Run the tests. All the tests pass. That looks good. All right. So we have string and integer conversion working. So then now I want to see if we can make this const expr friendly. So compile time. And I think I just do this. Ooh, we might run into issues. I don't know if from char is, ooh, wait a minute. It looks like it's const expr, at least in C++ 23. Holy shit. That's awesome. So this might be very doable. Very doable. Let's just put that there and see if things compile. That means I should be able to come in here. Ugh, this is where using Visual Studio would be a little nicer, I think. just because I'm using modules. We're not getting... what do I have to do to fix this? Thought I fixed it. CMake build directory. We have compile commands. Oh, you know what? We might not be using clang D here. Hang on. How do I turn that on? I'll try and restart the language server first. Okay. CPP IntelliSense is disabled, which I think is what we want. I'll have to play with it later. I'm not sure. I was hoping to get a autocomplete of the constexpr result because it's constexpr. Let's do this for the integer type as well. The current setup, it is not, but I could do it real quick. It's not a lot of effort. I know how to do. So I have an MSVC specified compiler, and what I actually need is a Visual Studio.json, because the way, like, Visual Studio is just different. So I'm making use of the compiler tool chains that Visual Studio also makes use of, but I'm using Ninja instead of Visual Studio. So I need to set up my CMake presets to configure a project that will generate .sln files for Visual Studio. And I've done it before, like I've always had, but I gotta find the project where I've done it. But it basically boils down to specifying a generator, which I do somewhere. Maybe it's here. Except I forget which version of Visual Studio I have. I think I have both, actually. What version? 2026? What is it? What is it, though? CMake. Oop. We go to configure generator. It's Visual Studio 18 2026. 18 2026. Hey Reed, I appreciate you stopping by. Thank you for the follow. So we specify our preset to use the Visual Studio generator, which will create those .sln files. Then we might not need this compiler flag now. Might need to just go into my presets for Windows and create a Visual Studio one. So let's do... We'll call this, not MSVC, Visual Studio. It won't be release or debug because Visual Studio handles that itself. So we'll just say Visual Studio. And instead of config Ninja, Visual Studio. And then we also don't need to specify a compiler because Visual Studio. We don't need to specify a build type because Visual Studio. You get the picture? I think we still want a build directory. We still want VC package. We still want Windows. All right, we're going to first try this. See if I get it. Ooh, we're already not first trying it. What am I missing? I don't even think I need a builder test preset here. So what is it yelling at me about? Oh, I didn't include it. Come on, guys. You got to include it. All right, now we're going to first try it. So you can do this either how I've been doing it in VS Code, where you can pick and choose your preset, or we can do it via the CMake GUI and just browse the source, which will be in my streams project. Specify the build folder to be here. Specify the preset to be Visual Studio. So it's going to default all of the input values, and then hit configure. The folder doesn't exist, so say yes. Visual Studio generator, use presets. I think we're good. Specify toolchain file for cross compiling. I think we're already setting that, so hopefully we don't need to specify it. Ooh, that's bright. Let's group advanced. Hit generate, done. So then we should be able to hit open project. And now we have Visual Studio, except let me try and make it vertical friendly here. And here is where I specify my build type, debug, release, debug. So we'll build solution. And it compiles. I should be able to run the tests from here as well somehow. Run tests, build. And it ran the tests. So there you go. So that's how you do it with Visual Studio. So let's see if it handles modules a little nicer. Because I was wanting to see if the const expr, if we could get like an IntelliSense result. Ooh, it doesn't look like it. No instance of function template matches the argument list. Well, that's a lie. Yeah, it's not. It's, yeah. So I think, well, wait a minute. We did see that there was an update. It clearly compiles just fine and runs. Let's see. C++ IntelliSense support for modules is currently experimental. Help improve the experience by reporting any issues. Affected file from string.test.cpp. So the first thing I would want to try is check for updates, which I think there were, because it's been a minute. Yeah. Maybe they've improved the IntelliSense. We're going up 2 minor versions. That's not insignificant. Hey, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed, Michael. Someday. Before we get started, they probably wants me to close. Select continue to save current state, close them, and restart. Yes. Wait, was it asking me to do it? Oh, okay. Whew. I do hope they improve modules support across the board someday. I might be retired by then, but for those younger folks out there, maybe you'll get to benefit from it. It's been a nice, calm evening. Just some code, some C++. I'll tell you, Reflections has been the biggest thing I've been looking forward to for the longest time. So I'm so excited we are finally getting it. I think GCC has some experimental implementation of it. I don't know the state for Clang, and I don't think Windows or Visual Studio has anything. Units. There's a units paper out there, I think, that's currently scheduled for C++ 29. Who knows if we'll ever get that? My understanding for the C++ modules is it's very difficult. Very difficult. You got to remember, I don't know exactly when C++ was invented. I forget if it was like late 80s, early 90s. We're like 30 plus years in. And as much as the internet bags on C++, other than C, the world runs on C++. And C++ is very adamant about being like ABI compatible and being able to support legacy code. And that's just, I can't even imagine. The amount of effort and planning that goes into making something like this is a big change. Modules is a massive change to how C++ is compiled. Yeah, I get it. I totally get it. I am the type of developer that likes to what is called live it head. So the latest updates, the latest commit, I'm using the latest versions of everything at the cost of maybe less stability. But I have found in practice for the stuff I do that hasn't been as big of an issue. So yeah, I would prefer if C++ could just start dropping stuff. That would be nice. It's never going to happen, but we could dream. Hi, Trill. You want to say hi? Huh? You want to say hi? Huh? Hi. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? Hmm? Trying not to get them tangled up in my wire here. Hi, Trill. Want to say hi? Want to hear one of the loudest cats in the world? What are you doing? I apologize for any listeners out there if that got a little loud. Yeah, there's a reason he's named Trill. I used to have another cat that we named Rumble, and he had such a low purr, it would like vibrate you. Well, that Visual Studio update appeared to eliminate the red squigglies, so that's nice. I'm not getting what I was hoping for, which was like const expr, like I don't know if you guys have ever done this before, where you could do const expr auto val equals, I don't know, 4 plus 2. Though to be fair, I think this works with just const as well. And then you can mouse over and get the result 16. I was hoping to, oh wait, I didn't mark it const expr. Maybe that's it. Oh, maybe this doesn't work like I thought it did. Oh no. I thought we were there, guys. Only one failure. On line 7, expression did not evaluate to a constant. On line 7. Oh, the first one. I assume it does. I haven't honestly used Visual Studio itself in a minute. Other than what you're seeing right now, I haven't really used 2026, but I have to assume so. It's literally Microsoft, right? Like, yeah. So I clicked on the GitHub tab, and it's immediately GitHub Copilot chat. So yes, it has it. Who, me? Oh God, no, not me, not me. I've been too ingrained in the GUI ecosystem of editors that I just can't. I can't do Vim. I can't do Emacs. I can do Vim a little bit, I guess, but I can't do like Vim motions or anything like that. I never got over the fact that I had to hit like the letter A for append or I for insert to start typing. I never got the use, like I never got the hang of that because like I want to put the cursor on the line and I want to type, damn it. And I just never got around that. And to be fair, I've never really tried either. I've just not had the interest. I would say when it comes to like typing, that is far and away not a bottleneck to my productivity. Hey Trill, what do you want? Probably hungry, aren't you? You just woke up. Okay, so what's going on here? This does not evaluate to a constant value use, invalid use of address of interpreter storage. Do we not have context per standard strings yet? Maybe that's what it is. For some reason I thought we had that, but maybe we don't have that yet. I know we have it for vector. C++20. However, you cannot declare a context per standard string variable at global or local scope if it persists to runtime. Interesting. Is that still the case? Or do we get it eventually like in 26? Where is a good resource? Nope. Oh God, not that site. Watch your eyes. I apologize. Oh my God, my eyes. Watch my eyes. All member functions of basic string are const expr. It is possible to create and use a basic string object. However, defining a const expr basic string variable is generally an error because constant evaluation requires any dynamically allocated storage to be released in the same evaluation, which is usually not the case with basic. Okay. So Here, let me get a dark window here. So, wait a minute. So I think I see what they're saying. You need to allocate memory to use a string, of course, and then you need to release that string. And so if you're going to use the string after the fact, which I guess is like doing a comparison, then in the expert context here, the memory would have been released by the time you can use it at runtime. But I also thought we could do const expert vector. Is it the same issue? I'm learning here. I've not ever really used dynamically allocated const expert types before. Same issue. Okay, so we can have a const expr from string. We just can't use a const expr string if we move from compile time to runtime. So here we were compile time, but here we were runtime. But in this situation, where, as we all know, a C string is essentially statically allocated in line, and so it will have an address that lives at runtime. We create a compile time view of it, so the view isn't allocating, so we can do this, and so that compiles and runs. Same thing with const char star, same idea, same concept. So this hello has a location in memory that persists, and then we just reference it. So that makes sense. Okay, so I just wasn't using it correctly. So let's make sure this compiles. Debug. Wait, why is it rebuilding my dependencies? You know, I don't know, man. I have bumped heads with other developers in the field who are like stuck in C++98, and I can kind of get it, but there are legitimate improvements in some of the newer language standards, even if you choose not to use all of it. And I definitely see the arguments against C++ due to its complexity, having lived in it for 15 years. But it's still kind of cool. Still kind of fun. Okay, so that built. And I think all the tests pass. Sweet. All right. This is a good... Ooh, one more thing. We'll make sure it still compiles and runs on Linux. Let's hop in a dev container. Yeah, that's fair. Oh my god. Old template errors back in the day using Sphinx. Substitution failure is not a error with enable ifs. Ugh. Concepts have improved things for sure, but you still gotta kind of know what you're looking at. Ooh, you're using templates with shaders? That's interesting. I haven't I've done like transpilers for shaders. And not that I've written them, but I've like set up all the configuration to automatically convert based on which platform you're on. Okay, so that configured. Hi Trill. What are you doing? What are you doing? I know. Ooh, we got compilers. We have compilers. Error code has not been declared. Ooh, did I not import it? So crazy that like what how all these compilers don't align to the same way of doing things. I sure didn't. Export import stream dot string dot error code. I probably should add concepts here as well. Let's try that again. Oh, I'm only importing from string. That's part of the problem. Yeah, I'll just import the error code. I've been I explained this earlier in the stream, but because I was the guy on my team early on who was in charge of like reading other third-party code bases and patching them and getting them to compile and link against each other and into my project, I've just had so many years of practice reading code that it's like I like to picture it's like the Matrix screen where it's just a bunch of gibberish, but like I can see through the gibberish and understand what's happening most of the time. Okay. See if we are good now. I will say, I do like the C test slash G test integration with VS Code. I assume it's the CMake extension that's doing it because now I can see in line if tests are passing or failing, and then I can rerun individual tests straight from VS Code, which is kind of cool. That's not something I had in my early years. All right. We are compiling and passing. Ooh, what did I just click on? There we go. We are compiling and passing tests on Windows and Linux, which is, I think, good enough for now. Handling, converting a string to a string, and also to an integer as a starting point. I'm going to eventually build this up. We will handle the other data types, and then we will start looking into a little bit of recursion concept magic to handle data structures as well. Vectors, maps, lists, pairs, tuples, optionals, sets, unordered maps, you name it. And then we will also handle that. And then we have ourselves a nice little string serialization library to handle STL types. And then maybe a way to define your own from and to for your custom type. I don't want to be the string serialization guy. There are so many like crazy optimizations that more intelligent people than me can pull off with strings. I'm just wrapping code around stuff. I'm not doing anything special. Okay, let's commit this. Call it a working from string serializer. No, that would be a deserializer. Deserializer for strings and integers. Push. Sweet. Made some good progress. I was in the mood to just do a little bit of C++, a little more instructional in case anyone who is new to C++ or was just interested happened to cross our paths. If not, no big deal. No guarantees tomorrow if I'm on. Typically Tuesday, Thursday. If I am, I'll probably play a game or something like that. Made some more progress with Briarthorn. Starting to look at like the more complex layouts to add to have the option to add more features and gameplay elements. So looking to do that as well. But yeah, thanks guys. Appreciate you hanging out with me. Have a good night.